Does anyone have a question like to ask? Hmm, Ask a question. That's the Shakti working in the, I really made a decision that next year I'm going to try to get a house somewhere, either to rent or buy, and have extra rooms where people can stay, not permanently. I don't want to run a commune and I don't want to run an ashram, but come for a week, 10 days, get training, get training, really get serious dose of this energy that would transform their inner life. And I guess that's my commitment. I have to do this because I want to take the training much deeper and, online doing the Zoom thing. Yeah, it's very powerful, but I want to begin to train people where they also can teach this type of work, where they can connect with the world, and learn what it is to truly open and to give and serve God unconditionally, you know. So I think that's going to be part of my projective, one of the doors that's opening for me. It's not going to be easy. I don't run that gallery I used to run. I don't have the money I used to have. But if it's supposed to come, it will come. And I certainly will be a vehicle, through which it will come into the world. Does anyone have a question I'd like to ask? And I've said it a couple of times, many times, but there are two things I once learned from Rudy that have so become part of my inner life, and it's what a teacher is. A teacher is not God. A teacher is not some all perfect creature on the earth that is God, I mean, you don't worship a teacher, purpose of a teacher is to serve God, to be a servant, and at the same time to serve the people that study with him or her. If you ever, for a moment, think, or if I forever, for a moment, think, I am doing this, it's all over. It's finished. It stops working. It becomes ego, it becomes self importance, it becomes position. And I know in my life, I've made many teachers who that's what happened to them. They began to believe that they were doing it. And, so this is part of the growth. It's a great, teaching I got from Rudy when he told me, the guru is not God. The best the guru can be is the servant of God and the servant of his students or her students, which means that a servant is like the highest potential a human being can reach on the earth. And that, of course, goes against everything that our society promotes. It requires total surrender. It requires unconditional love. It requires unconditional receiving, unconditional giving. It requires a humility that is not part of ordinary consciousness in the world, where self-importance reigns, ego reigns, charisma reigns, and people really destroy each other because all of those things create such huge tension that they can never truly nurture other people in a deep way. Does anyone have a question I'd like to ask?
Stuart, I have a question, Bob Sink.
Yes, Bob?
You partially answered it, but how can one be a servant, practice being a servant in our daily life?
Well, the first person you have to serve is yourself. You have to like yourself. You have to love yourself. You have to really have this deep sense of self-worth, that's not ego invested, but it really has to do with surrender, with unconditional giving and receiving. Somebody comes to your house and you're making dinner for them. That dinner should come out of your heart. You are serving them. It's like, I always talk about Japanese tea ceremonies. It's not the tea. The tea represents service, serving a higher energy, giving something to another human being that has depth, that has spirit, it nurtures them. All of life should, but you go in the grocery store, shouldn't grumble about it. Just, they're providing you food, you got to eat to live. You get in your car, you're grateful to the maker of the car because everything in life is about providing. And one of the instruments of life is money, and money creates a lot of tension, because people have to work hard for it. They have to, so even these classes, there are many people that never contribute anything to this. I rarely say anything, but it's always a little shocking to me how people can assume that they can't give something. Give something. When I was with Rudy, we went up to Big Indian. We used to work like animals. You go up to the country to have a relaxing weekend, and you spent it building fences, building walls, building houses. It was incredible. Gardening, planting. And the whole weekend was a weekend of work. Remember Denton, Texas, Paul, when it was like there, But it's giving. You have to contribute something in order to receive. I don't have an ashram anymore. I don't have a 4,000 square foot loft where people would come and they would cook and do this and that, and clean and help me out that way, But people have to find a way to give, to contribute something. Because first of all, you don't even do it for the other person, you do it for yourself. I went up to my accountant today and she just, went through a difficult time. And I started talking with, I told her about my website. She might want to go there and see what it's all about. It can really help her in her life, not promoting myself, but trying to help her. She's a very good accountant and a very nice person, both she and her husband. I like them very much. So all our interactions with life have to do with the fact that it's teaching us how to give unconditionally. It's teaching us how to love. It's teaching us how to surrender. It's teaching us to learn from other people, even the negative things that people bring. We have to learn they don't bring them to us unless we attract them. Then we got to fix ourselves. So all of life is about giving and receiving. You give some money, you get a container of milk. It's all about having humility, although it isn't, the level of life doesn't function that way. It's all about greed and money and how much can I extract from another human being and what can and it's nonsense. And one finally learns that it's not nonsense. Because I tell you all the time, all of you are my teacher. I am here to serve my teacher. You are my teacher. Your presence here just simply demands that I have to grow spiritually. I have no choice. That's why I do this. I mean, 7 classes a week online, thank God. I mean, it's not easy. But what the hell, I need to grow spiritually, and these classes do nothing but help me grow spiritually. That's my contribution to life. And then it carries over to just almost everything I do now, with people. If people are crazy, it doesn't mean I have to get uptight. I really mean it. And then, along with this, you discover what is the real temple. The real temple is not an ashram. The real temple is not a church or a synagogue or a mosque. The real temple is life. And people go to ashrams, you understand? Not to spend it, but to learn how to get strong enough so they can live in the real temple life. That's what an ashram should do. It should make people strong enough to be able to embrace life, embrace all of the elements of life. It's all a manifestation of God teaching us constantly 24 hours a day. It's all sacred. Life is sacred. So one has to bow to it. One has to open to it. So let it be the guru. Let it be the teacher. Can't do that if you're full of yourself. So it's a slow and gradual surrendering of ego, mind, opinion, whatever we think about, so that we can gradually bow to the real guru, life. And life will do that. Does it to everybody, whether you're doing spiritual practice or not. Eventually, you got to surrender everything. You have no choice. So my job is not to be a guru. You understand? My job is to try and help each and every person who sits in these classes to get strong enough to be able to live in the real temple and to be able to embrace life and let it be their teacher. To find out that everything that life manifests is sacred and teaching us what we have to do inside ourselves to grow. All that bullshit going on in the Middle East and in the Ukraine, you know, finally has to teach people that it doesn't work. Life is trying to teach them that it doesn't work. What works is love. What works is, compassion. What works is, unconditional giving and receiving amongst people, helping people better their lives. That works. What works is forgiveness. Excuse me. Does anyone else have a question?
Thank you, Stuart.
You're welcome. I mean, look, I ran ashrams for what, 20 years, 30 years? My God, 20 years, yeah, at least more, 30 years. And I learned. I was there for only one reason, to help people get strong enough to be able to find that every element of life is sacred. You don't have to hide out, in a monastery or an ashram or a church or synagogue. Every aspect of life is sacred. You just have to get strong enough to be able to embrace it. Does anyone else have a question? I just have one announcement. On Sunday, I'm going to have to take next Sunday off. I have some things that have come up, but also I think I need to get a rest. This has been really an intense period, and so I'm going to take Sunday and just chill out a little bit. So there won't be class this Sunday. There will be class tomorrow and Monday, and then class will go on the regular schedule, except the weekend of the retreat, where there won't be class that Sunday, which is on the 20th, like then. No, I'm sorry, 22nd, 23rd, that weekend. Okay, does anyone else have a question? Okay, thank you. God bless you all. Thank you for being in my life. Thank you for coming here, being part of this, and really forcing me to work in great depth on myself. And in all humility, it's wonderful to have every one of you, as part of my life. So God bless you all. Thank you. And there'll be a class on tomorrow. I'll see you all tomorrow.
Thank you, Stuart.
Good
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Stuart.
night.
Night.